Hello, good morning, good evening, whenever it is. Today, I wanted to refresh everything in Photoshop. So it's been a while for some of us. Others, it's been, a couple weeks. But we all just kind of need to get on the same page as far as how Photoshop works. If you've had a little bit of time since the last time you had photo, this refresher is probably overdue. So don't worry. So what I'm going to do basically today is just go down the toolbar and we're going to see what all the tools do just pragmatically, very quickly. Hopefully, I always say that and then it ends up being 90 minutes. So we'll just go through each of these piece by piece and how you might use them pragmatically here in an image. Now, this is going to be a little bit rough. I just opened up this image, and so I'm not exactly sure what to do with it, but hopefully we'll make do. All right, obviously the first thing we always do is make sure Photoshop's the active application, and then we hit Command J to duplicate our image so that we can work on a copy, right? We don't want to hurt our original layer. So first up is the Move tool. Now, again, if you just hover over these, Photoshop has a little bit of a blurb there, and it shows you what to do. So this one says, moves a selection or layer. So right now, my layer is that top layer, and I don't have enough RAM on this computer, obviously, but you can see what that does. It allows me to move that copy layer all around, okay? Now, if you have a selection made, I'm just going to hit Command Z on these. If you have a selection made, which we'll do here, okay? If I have a selection like that, and I go back to my Move tool, it's going to move that selection, okay? So right there, it's going to cut that out away from the background, okay? So a selection, then, to sort of keep going here on this tool theme here, a selection allows me to define the area in which I want to work. So if I make a selection and then I hit Command U, which brings me up to my hue saturation adjustment, I am going to change only what is inside that selection. Okay? Now in the instance that I want to use another tool, say the Move tool, which we just did, I'm going to hit V on my keyboard, and what's it going to do? It's going to move this around. Now obviously if we it's moving around that top layer, the background layer is still there, okay? And since it's duplicated, it looks like I've just cut it out, but that's not what happened. Okay, that is your marquee tool. Your marquee tool is a selection tool which does squares, or if we right-click on it, it will let us do circular, okay? Again, if I hold Shift down, it allows me to scale it proportionally, and that is for both the marquee and the the elliptical and the rectangular marquee tool. Next, we have the lasso tool. Now, what the lasso tool does is it allows me to freehand make a selection. So if I want to just get the face here of Miss Smith, okay, now I've just made that selection, okay? There we go. The lasso is a freehand selection tool. Okay. Now again, you can right click on these and you can get these smarter ones that drop anchors, but usually I think that the freehand selection is the best. Then we have the quick select tool. That's my best buddy John, don't mind that. Okay, so we've got the quick select tool here, the object select tool, and the magic wand. Let's see what each of these do in turn. I'm going to grab the quick select tool, and I'm going to try and grab her hat. Man, just leave me alone, dude. In a minute. Okay, so as I hold down my pen, or excuse me, my mouse. I'm using a tablet, but you're using a mouse. As I hold down my mouse here, and then drag it over where I think or where I know I want to be, Photoshop then makes a guess and extends your selection in kind of a real smart way. Does that make sense? So here we go. I'm just trying to grab all of Miss Smith here. And there we go. We got her. Okay. And then if I hit Command J, I can duplicate that selection. Okay. So The quick select tool is dead useful. Use it all the time for when you're trying to make a quick selected area. Okay. Now, new to us this year, last year, I guess the 2021 was the object select tool. Now, what object select, all we do here is we draw a boundary box around it. We let it go. We let it think for a minute. And then it will produce a quick selection of what it thinks we needed. And it's pretty dang close. It looks for those hard edges, and then it doesn't really extend past there. Okay. Then we have the magic wand tool. The magic wand tool is useful for when you have similar colored pixels in a close area. So I'm going to select just the background here, and it could see where the shadow was sort of ending there, and it grabbed all that. Okay, so it grabs similar colored pixels, and again, if I want to add to my selection, I can just do this. Okay. And then I'm going to click up here. So again, it grabs similar colored pixels and makes them a selection. Okay, very useful, especially for graphic design when you have very consistent colors all around. Can be very useful for us. Most of the time, I live with quick select. We've got the crop tool. This will allow us to extend our background or extend our canvas size. Okay. So let me zoom out here. If I wanted to extend my canvas and make this scale it a little bit larger, I would do it this way. I can click enter here, and now my canvas is that much larger. But here's kind of a neat feature of the crop tool is, that's not good. One sec, let me do some housekeeping here. Quit Lightroom, maybe that'll free up some space. Okay. All right. So I'm going to extend my background, and then I'm going to check content aware. And what content aware does is it says, okay, let's see what's around the area that you're trying to expand from, and let's see if we can't extend it. Okay. It's a bit graphically intense, so it takes a minute to emulate that, or to, what's the word I'm looking for? Render this. And then apply it. So we'll maybe crash Photoshop, hopefully not. Give it a sec. Couldn't do it because the scratch disks are full, but it actually did do it. So joke's on Photoshop. Uh-oh. Might crash here. Okay. All right. Okay, so you can see what our net result was here. We extended it. And then from here we can make adjustments as needed. Okay. So we'll Command Z our way back out of there. I think I'm going to try and do this simpler because I realize now that the screen recording that's going on is taking up a lot of memory. So we have the eyedropper, which we use for sampling a color. So if we were to use our brush and use the eyedropper, we would get we could sample a color to duplicate from. Okay, and then we can kind of blend that all into one there. Okay. Eyedropper, great for sampling colors. Next, we have the healing tools. We've got the spot healing brush, the patch tool, the move tool, the content aware move tool, and we'll go through those real quick. Okay. So Miss Smith has pretty good skin, but she got some freckles we can mess with here. Let's try the spot healing brush. Okay. Now the spot healing brush has a mind of its own. We just tell it where we want to perform. Okay, so if I'm to grab this, just kind of like that, it's going to take care of that. Okay, it blends, it grabs from the area around it, and it tries to blend together. Okay, whether that's blending color or texture or both, it has a mind of its own. Again, like I say, we just tell it where to behave. Okay, so we could come down, like that, whatever. Okay, that is the spot healing brush. Next up is the healing brush tool. Now this we have some input on. We hold down Option, we sample the area, and then we say duplicate that. And what it's going to do is it's going to try and grab the texture, but leave the tone. Okay, so if I were to sample her teeth and paint on her lips, this will be funny, it's going to try its best to keep just the texture from the teeth sampling site, but keep the tone from the lips. You see how it kind of worked there? This side's more red than that, but there we go. Then we have the patch tool, which is it's kind of hard to explain. I really like the patch tool. Essentially what we use it for is, let's say we've got these darker vignetted corners up here and we wanted them to be lighter. I can select this and then I'm going to say, hey, where I'm going to drop this is what I want it to look like in my selection. Okay, so maybe I can do that another way. If I grab a chunk of her hat and then drop it over here, what I'm saying is I want the selection that I moved to look like the place I moved it to. Okay, so really useful for replacing skies, clouds, snow, all that kind of junk. Content Aware Move tool, I'm not going to do that because it's very graphically intense, but it works essentially like well, maybe I should do it anyway. It works very much like the Content Aware Crop. Okay, so it's going to sit there and think and think and think and then apply it eventually. It's not my favorite tool. Generally don't spend a lot of time with it. We should know the brush pretty well. The brush is just like a paintbrush. We can define characteristics of it like hardness and softness. There we have a very hard brush. Here we have a very soft brush, okay? We can change the opacity. We can change the flow. We can do lots of things with the brush, okay? All of which are useful, especially in things like layer masks. Then we have the clone stamp tool. The clone stamp tool just makes a pixel for pixel duplication of whatever we have selected. Okay, so I selected her face and hat there, and there we go. Then we have what's called the history brush. If for example, if this actually, I don't think this will work because this is a 16-bit image, but we'll try it. Okay, so here I've got a step done. Now I'm going to go to my history brush tool, and I'm going to want to paint. Oh, it works. Totally works. That's great. So what that does is it restores the part of the image that you maybe screwed up. Okay. That's awesome. I didn't know we could do that in 16-bit. That's great. Anyway, so if we, for example, if I erased this, part here, I could go back to my history brush and it's going to restore it to its original pixels there. Okay. Speaking of which, the erase tool just below that here will just erase things. We don't ever use the eraser tool. We just use layer masks. Got the gradient here, which will allow us to put a gradient on here. Useful for things like font design, text design, things like that. Can be useful for creating nice, illustration type things. Smudge tool, don't really use it a ton, but it is what it is. And it's not working. Well, it is working. I shouldn't have done that. The smudge tool is very graphically intense. You're asking it to blend, hundreds of thousands of pixels together, and we might have timed out here. So I wish I could escape this. There's that. Smudge tool, use with prudence, obviously, because we're cooking our graphic processing unit here to death. The tool right below that is the sharpen tool. What that's going to do is it's going to pull pixels together. It's going to darken edges. If we've got a finite edge, it will sort of tighten those pixels a little bit. Below that, we have the dodge and burn tool, the one that looks like a lollipop. I'll put my cursor over there, but it's not going to do anything. It's the one, I'll move it. It's that lollipop right there. The hand is the burn and the lollipop is the dodge. The dodge tool will lighten an area. The burn tool will darken an area. It works like the brush tool, so it has different strength settings and different size and hardness settings, but it will lighten or darken. Below that, we have the type tool, which will allow us to put type on our image. Let's see if I can Command Z this. It's going to take forever. Then we have the pen tool, which will allow us to create points, anchor points, that we can click along and turn into a selection or a path. We have the pointer tool, which I don't know what that does. I haven't used it in forever. We have the hand tool, which will allow us to just move around. remember, if you hold down spacebar on your keyboard, the hand tool will momentarily pop up. Okay, then we have the magnifying glass or the zoom tool, which will allow us to zoom in selectively. Oh man, I wish I hadn't used the darn smudge tool. Below that, we've got our default colors and our color picker, and then we have quick mask mode. Quick mask mode, I teach it to you by just hitting Q on your keyboard, but what that does is it allows you to see what an area is that's been selected, and then to improve or take away from on that. Okay, that's it for the tools. Our adjustment layers, are we back? Yes, we're back. Okay. I should have just deleted the layer. I don't know why I did that. Gosh dang it. Okay, the adjustment layers here allow us to create a layer dedicated to one of these adjustments. Okay. Then we have the layers panel down here, which is how we work non-destructively. Hopefully all of that is more or less just a review for you to kind of get you acclimated. Now again, as we go on in the semester, don't freak out if you forget a part or portion of these. We can always backtrack. I can always come and help you figure out what it is you need doing. And yeah, that's one of those things you don't want to hesitate on. You just want to be kind of straightforward and raise your hand if you get lost. Okay, I'm going to try and end this video. I'm not really optimistic that it's going to happen. Let's see if we can just quit Photoshop, and then I will end the video that way. Okay, hope you're all doing well. See you soon. Yeah, take care.